Hi, my name is Caroline. I'm the Youth and Families Worker here at Literature Mission, and every Wednesday I've been making little craft videos for you guys to do at home. They're based on what we're looking at on Tuesdays in our recent school table talk, where over the last month we've been looking at the 7 I am sayings of Jesus, and we're up to number 5 this week. So let's see if you guys can remember the first 4. So the first one was, I am the bread of life. The second one was, I am the light of the world. The third one was, I am the gate for the sheep. The fourth one, which we looked at last week, was I am the good shepherd, and this week number 5 is I am the resurrection and the life. So when does Jesus say this? Well, if we go to our Bibles and we go to the book of John chapter 11, and then we find somewhere on this side, there it is, verse 25, this is what Jesus says. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will have life even if he dies. And he who lives and believes in me will never die. Martha, do you believe this? So Jesus is talking to his friend Martha. Jesus had friends called Martha, Mary, and their brother Lazarus. And Lazarus has just died, and Mary and Martha are really upset. And when Martha is talking to Jesus, she talks to him about how she's looking forward to a day that she knows which is coming, the last day of all time, when everyone will be risen from the dead and be with God, and she'll see her brother again. And Jesus tells her, Martha, I am the resurrection and the life. Well, what does Jesus mean by this? Well, Jesus was telling Martha that he had the power to raise people from the dead, resurrection, and give them life. I am the resurrection and the life. And just after he's finished saying this to Martha, Jesus goes to Lazarus' tomb and he says, Lazarus, come out. And Lazarus does. Lazarus is raised from the dead by Jesus, and Jesus proves to everyone there that he is who he says he is. He had the power to raise Lazarus from the dead. Now, you might be thinking there's someone else in Jesus' life who gets risen from the dead. Jesus rises from the dead. Later on, we read about how Jesus dies on the cross for our sins, and he's put in a tomb. And 3 days later, some women come to the tomb to prepare his body because they think he's dead and they think they're never going to see him again. And when they get there, Jesus isn't there. The tomb is empty. And Jesus has risen from the dead. He's defeated death, so that now those who believe in him don't have to face the punishment for their sins. He's paid the price for them. And instead, even though they might die, one day will be raised again by Jesus and will live forever and ever and ever and ever in heaven with God. And that's what today's craft is looking at. So what we've got is this tomb, which is a pretty plain and boring tomb, because tombs were where people were buried, so it's kind of like a graveyard. And it's not really a place we associate with happy things. It's where we go to see people who have died, who we love and who we miss. And that's exactly what the tomb would have been like for Mary and Martha and for everyone that Jesus knew, including Jesus. But this tomb is special because when we roll away the stone, which is kind of like the door, inside, look, it's all bright and colourful and there's no death inside. And instead we have the Bible verse that we can read today, which is where Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even though they die. And this will help to remind us that if we believe in Jesus, even though we might die, we can have that eternal hope and we can be excited about one day when Jesus will come back and he'll raise us from the dead and we'll get to live forever and ever with him in heaven. So that's today's craft. I hope you enjoy it and I'll go ahead and show you how to make it. But before I do, I'm just going to apologise for the video. For some reason, I don't think I woke up with my brain today and it took me a very long time to film the craft in any way a successful kind of video. So it's not my best work, but I hope you enjoy it anyway, and make sure to send in pictures so you can show me how much better your craft is than mine. And I'll see you next week with the number 6 of the I am sayings. Bye. So as normal, the first thing we want to do is head to our website and download and print the PDF. And that should give you 3 pieces of paper which you need for this craft. So the first piece of paper gives you this, which has the Bible verse written at the top in teeny tiny letters. And all you need to do with this one is cut along here to give you the Bible verse that looks like this. But make sure you hang on to this end of the paper as well, because we'll use that later on. The next piece of paper we need are these two of these that look like this. And one we're going to colour in to look like the tomb. So I've just gone for plain grey because I may have messed this craft up a few times. This may have been my third attempt and I didn't want to make it look any prettier. So you can draw grass and you can draw stones and everything like that if you want to. And then on the second one, you just need to colour in the inside, nice bright colours. So I've gone for yellow and orange. And we don't need those yet either, so we're going to put them to one side. Now you need to take the other half of the Bible verse piece of paper and just colour in a load of grey, the same colour to match your tomb. And then you need to take something like some sellotape, or I've got double-sided sticky tape, which has got 2 size circles in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this on top of the grey, and we're going to draw around the bigger circle, like this. And now we're just going to cut that out really quickly. Because this way we're not wasting paper. And the good thing is that because it's meant to look like a stone, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. So if it looks a bit wobbly, that'll add to the overall effect. So there we are, we've got a bit of a wobbly circle, and we'll put that to one side and we'll get rid of that paper. Next, we need to take the tomb piece of paper and the sellotape that we're using, and we're going to place it on top, but this time we're going to draw around the smaller circle, like this, and we're going to cut that out. And we can cut it out from the bottom, it doesn't have to be perfect because the stone will cover it up anyway. And then if we chop these bits away, it'll help it to look more like a door to a tomb than a circle that's been chopped out. And we can get rid of this bit. Right, and the next thing we're going to do is we are going to glue the 2 pieces of the tomb together. So we're going to start with this one at the bottom, and we're going to put sellotape or double-sided sticky tape or glue around the edges. But we're not going to stick here where the door is, or here or here. We're going to stick everywhere else, but not in those places. So let's start with the corners, because those are good places to make sure it's stuck down properly. So we'll put one there and one there. I'm just going to work our way around the tomb cutting. So we're going to leave a gap here for the Bible verse, and then we'll stick this down. I made it slightly too long. If you try not to rip your craft, I think that would be a good idea. But if you rip it on this side, it doesn't really matter. It's on the other side if you rip it, as I learned the hard way, that it makes a bigger difference. And we keep going. And then when we get to here, we have to make sure that we've got so it's all, that the Bible verse will be able to run through here to here. And then we just need to do this corner. And then we start peeling everything away. When I made mistakes with the first 2 attempts at this craft, I didn't pay enough attention to where I was putting this double-sided sticky tape. So I ended up gluing the door of the tomb down, and I ended up gluing too much of the craft down. So I think just around the edges works best. And for some reason, I'm ripping it a lot this time around. There we go. And because this half of the tomb has got this hole in, it's a bit more fragile than this half. So what we're going to do is we'll stick the other half onto it. So we'll put that one down, and then we're going to place this one on top, trying to get it lined up as well as we can. So there we go. And now we've got our tomb with the door. And now we have to stick the stone down that we can roll away. So that's where our door is going to go there. We want to stick it down here so that we can pull it back. So I'm going to stick some double-sided sticky tape to this part of the door. just to make sure that the door covers. And there we go. Now we can roll away our stone and see what's inside the tomb. And now we're going to find where we left the gaps in our... Okay, so I missed a step. Before we thread the Bible verse in, we need to make the Bible verse longer so that we can have it poking out of each end so we can pull it each way. So do you remember that piece of paper that we cut the hole out of? Well, we need this bit along here. So just like we did earlier, we're just going to cut a small piece going all the way. And try and keep it a similar width to the Bible verse. And now we're going to cut it in half here. That went a bit, that wasn't very straight. There we go. And now we need to stick these to each end of the Bible verse. So we'll take a little bit of double-sided sticky tape, so like this, and we'll put it here. And we'll put I am the resurrection there. And then at the other end, we stick down the other end. And if you guys remember the Easter craft with the story of Jesus's death on it, it might be easier to put some sellotape on these to help it run smoothly. But I think it will work like this. So now we can take the tomb and we can look where our first gap was on this side. So here it is, and we'll thread the first part of the Bible verse in. Being very careful not to rip anything. And then we'll find the gap that we left on this side, which is up here, and we'll thread this end in. Again, being very careful not to rip anything. There we go. And then that's today's craft. We've got a pretty boring looking tomb from the outside, and just like in Jesus' times, tombs were not happy places and they wouldn't be where you'd expect to find good news. But just like with Lazarus and then later with Jesus when he rose from the dead, in this tomb we find good news, because when we roll back the stone, there's no death inside. Instead, there's a bright light, and then we can read these words from Jesus where he says, I am the resurrection. Oh, you've got to be careful. This is what I said about sellotape. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will... Oh, we've got caught at just under. There we go. Will have life even if he dies. John 11:25-26. So that's today's craft, a reminder that Jesus is the resurrection and the life. And I'm sorry the video is a bit muddled today. I seem to have woken up without my brain or something like that. But I hope you enjoy the craft anyway. And I'll see you next week for a different craft on the next I Am saying of Jesus. And hopefully my brain would have woken up by then. And don't forget, if you do the craft, remember to send in a picture so we can show the rest of the church what you guys have been doing. Everyone enjoyed seeing your craft videos this week, and hopefully we'll see them, show them some more soon. And that's it for this week, so I'll see you next week. Bye!